Welcome to Mechs on Deck, episode 25.
We're a quarter of the way there.
Yeah, quarter of the century mark.
Ooh, the bicentennial quarter. Wait for it. Come on, look at that. Look at that old bad boy.
Getting fancy out there.
It's my coin flipping coin.
But no, today we are talking about keycap alternatives. Everyone and their mother is doing GMK right now. There's some people doing other stuff. We've seen some cool stuff happen, and we wanted to talk about the little guys, the not GMKs, and kind of what there is out there, because I feel like it doesn't quite get necessarily the respect it might deserve.
Yeah, and even if it's not like respect that it doesn't deserve, it's just that there are I'm not going to say problems, but there are reasons why people choose GMK over these other profiles, and as well as every keycap has their issues. So we're just going to go through and explain, some of the good and some of the bad. Maybe some reasons why you should try these keycaps, and then maybe some reasons why people might choose GMK over these keycaps. So at least in our opinion. So, but first things first, let's get a shout out to our sponsors, switchmod.net. You can do switchmod.net/mechsondeck for 4% off your order. Get some lube, get some keysters, little keysters, keycaps, some springs, all that good stuff. So be sure to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can head on over to mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. You can get yourself some GMK Dracula. It's out. It's doing well.
Very well.
Pick it up. It's going to be a set that people really want. So if you're looking at it, pick it up, because it's an awesome looking set. I know Chewy's big on it. But yeah, definitely get yourself some GMK Dracula.
Yep. And then last but not least, Zap Cables, one of the best, if not the best, cable makers in the game. You can go and pick up a DIY kit if you don't want to wait for some of his runs. And we have a video on our channel that kind of walks you through how to build those cables as well. But he also makes them, so if you can get in on one of those runs, it's some of the best quality cables. So
yeah.
But moving on, last announcement, 24-hour stream. We'll probably be mentioning it every single time we talk on this channel. November 23rd to the 24th for 24 hours, starting that Saturday at noon. We've got giveaways, we've got interviews, builds, video games, all that good stuff. So be sure to stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have some fun with it. So, and if there's some things you want to see, just let us know, and we'll see if we can work it in. But first up, we're going to talk about a little bit about what GMK is kind of blanketed a little bit better at. I'd say the only one that competes with this is some of the SA vendors, but that's color matching.
Mm-hmm.
They not only do they spend a lot of their own time color matching and making sure that everything is correct. They're really good about getting with the designers and getting them samples quickly, and listening to feedback and getting those correct. I know that as more of these different profiles from different manufacturers come out, that's something that they're striving for. But right now, GMK really is, it's kind of the tried and true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that gives, since they've been able to go into custom colorways, that really does kind of blow the door open for designers. They're still limited with what colors they can match up with. You know, you can't pick any color on a color wheel and go give me that one, because some might be slightly different. Some might be, I know with like Modern Dolch, the original red was apparently a metallic red, and so they had to do their best. It still came out amazing because, you know, I know a lot of designers are starting to go for RAL colors because they are the easiest to recreate. But that just being able to really open the door for those designers to get these awesome keycap sets that you can, you know, we talk about a lot about, you know, you want to make sure that you're not copying or just reusing a different colorway. And so making those changes, if they are significant enough, they can still be very close to something and be different. And with, when you're not locked into a certain amount of colors, then you're not able, or you are able to really make some cool changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're specifically for this time period, we are in a really cool place where right now one of the biggest vendors in the game is running sets of 3 different like vendors that are all cherry profile.
Mm-hmm.
So as we get into this, we have Novel Keys currently is running GMK sets, as they always are, a couple actually. And then they're also running a JTK set, and then today they started the Tai Hao set, the cubic black on white set that they're running. So it's really cool to see people branch out, and I think eventually that's going to help with the GMK, not necessarily problem, because I wouldn't say it's a problem, but the problem of them being backed up to the point where sets aren't getting put out. I think we need these alternative manufacturers that we're going to kind of go through here in a second. We need these so that way designers can keep making designs and it not take, oh, hey, this interest check got posted. Now it's not going to go live until June of next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's, as a community, we're not used to that. And
Yeah.
it's nice that there are other people that are going to take on that. And as long as they can put out the product, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And that's what we've seen with some keycap profiles and some vendors of those keycap profiles, is you see delays and they want to make sure things get right. One we haven't really seen, we'll kind of start off with the other versions of cherry that we see the most, which is EPBT and JTK. JTK is going to be the closest to GMK in terms of feel, because they are both I just went completely blank on
ABS.
ABS, thank you. But they're both ABS, so it's going to be a smoother, it's going to be a lighter sounding keycap. So when you, a big reason that people go, okay, why GMK versus, you know, JTK, is they have their legends that are a little bit smoother, and JTK is getting better, absolutely. But that's kind of another thing that a lot of people like about GMK, is that their legends are very crisp, very smooth, where JTK kind of misses the mark on a few caps. I know they're starting to fix it now, but we have seen some older runs where some of the legends are just either a little too thick or a little too thin, just inconsistent overall. Not anything bad about these sets, but these are just, you know, kind of extreme details, and there are a lot of people in this community that are very detail oriented. And so if you're extremely detail oriented, you want everything to be perfect, then absolutely, you know, that's probably not going to fly. So, and then EPBT as well. Kind of the same issue. Now they run into, because it's a PBT plastic, they're limited on colors. But I think that's probably my second favorite behind GMK.
Yeah, I've messed around with, I have a JTK set, which actually you currently have, but
yeah, I was digging through some stuff and I found, I was like, what is that? Oh.
But you know, JTK is pretty good. They've done a lot in the past like year and a half, 2 years, to really step up their game, to really get colors better, to get Legends better. They look a little bit different than GMK, but it is the closest that we would have in terms of um, quality to Cherry. EPBT, a lot of people hate on it because of the way it sounds. And then we do have a new PBT manufacturer in Infinity, which is the one that the Key Company is using. And they've had a couple sets that have done pretty well. I've seen some people talk about the Katakana sets that came out I think it was last month. They shipped, and some people were really enjoying them. Some people had some other little issues with things like space bars being warped and stuff like that. But those are the closest. But PBT sounds so much different than GMK that it kind of loses a lot of people there. It's a lot darker. It's a lot thockier of a sound than ABS. And that's where a lot of people, I feel like, even if they were to get colors perfect, legends perfect, people would be like, I miss my bright, crisp GMK.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other awesome part, I think, that PBT doesn't shine, which I know a lot of people don't like that GMK shines. I'm a fan. But it will remain looking like new for longer, which is another huge push. I know a lot of people really like, and that's a big reason why EPBT ironically shines through the crowd, and as well as price. You can get an EPBT set with every keycap you can think of that you would need outside of like Dvorak. You can get a lot of keycaps for $110, something you'd be spending $240 on GMK for all these key sets. You know, we talked about in the past where, oh, it's great, GMK has $100 base kit. I'm like, cool, you can only fit like a handful of boards, whereas with these EPBT sets, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter what keyboard you have, you probably are able to, outside of maybe ortholinear, and they even have kits for ortholinear that are relatively inexpensive. So I mean, for someone who's just getting into the hobby, I would recommend EPBT, because I'm like, well, at least you're not going to be limited on what caps you want, so, or on what layouts you want, so you'll have caps to fit that board. So, and some people like the dark. I kind of like the dark sound on some.
Yeah. And I think, I think it'll get to a point where sets that are EPBT won't be necessarily seen as beginner. Like I think we'll get to a point where sets like that, sets from EPBT and Infinity will be seen not as equal as GMK maybe, but closer. I think that the price difference isn't necessarily conducive to the quality difference. It's mainly due to materials and where it's manufactured. China's cheaper than Germany in terms of manufacturing. So PBT's awesome. They've done a lot. Gawk has done a ton of work getting the legends correct. They had, that was the other big thing, that when EPBT first started coming out, I think the first round of EPBT 9009, the legends were all messed up and they weren't like in the correct spots. So I think as people do more work on that and they refine that manufacturing and get it better and better, and more consistent, I think it'll kind of come up in the world of keycaps.
Yeah, it just takes time. I mean, this hobby's not old. And I mean, it's been around for a long time. I mean, mechanical keyboards have been around for decades, but the custom community has been around for a while. But it's going to take some time and some trial and error for keycaps to get the legends, where they want it to be. And then that kind of goes in this next one, this next profile that we'll talk about. This is kind of to me what the poster child of like, just because it's different doesn't mean it's worse than GMK. And so that's SA. A lot of people are torn on the Legends of SA, but they are very different. Like if you're looking for something that looks a little more old school and a little more, maybe I always describe SA as a little more artsy, a little more artistic in the way that it's presented, because instead of having these legends that are only in the top left quarter of the cap, it takes the whole cap up. It's big bold letters, and it's there, and it's they're already huge caps. And so just because maybe JTK uses a slightly bolder font for their legends, that doesn't make it worse. It just makes it different. So
yeah.
SA is, and it's a cool profile.
Yeah, SA is really, it's very different. It's almost a love it or hate it style. I think it's probably and we can clump in DSA as well, because it's the same manufacturing.
Mm-hmm. At least the main manufacturers.
Well, because your big players in SA have been SP, so Signature Plastics, and Mechs, but Mechs has been very quiet as of late. I haven't seen a lot of.
Hopefully they're working.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Mechs stuff. I haven't seen anything new from them in a while. But Signature Plastics is, that is your key player for both DSA and SA. And they do a great job. This is probably that's the one that stands up the most in terms of like colors. Some would probably say that their colors are better than GMK in terms of like vibrancy. Mm-hmm. But it's very different. Both SA and DSA are like polar opposites of each other, like in terms of the most cup your hands into the keys and the most, this is like a typing on a MacBook keyboard in terms of the keycap profile. SA,
it's like a typewriter.
Yeah, it's like an old school vibe. But I get what you're saying about how to me, SA has the most like pop.
Yeah.
Like 100% has the most pop. It's the most interesting. I think if you're showing your board to someone with an SA set, it's going to be more off the wall. It's going to look a little bit more premium, I guess. Not necessarily premium, but a little bit more interesting.
It's going to stand out more.
Yeah. The other thing about SA is specifically with SP, so Signature Plastics, it's very expensive.
Yep.
You see base kits, and that's another thing, not even like base kits. The good thing about GMK is I can go on to a website, to a vendor, and I can order a base kit, and I know I'm getting everything I need. What happens a lot of times with your SA sets and and a lot of these other ones, almost all of them, except for the other cherry profile ones, they're all broken out like crazy. So you've got your alphas, then you've got your modifiers, and then you've got all your different child kits for all the different compatibility, which I see the point, but it's hard it makes it confusing. It's hard to grasp for some people, and it sucks because sometimes you buy your set for a specific board, and then 6 months later you want to put that set on a different board, and it's like, oh crap, I don't have the key to do that. I don't have the short shift that I needed, or you don't have all of the compatibility all the time, whereas you don't necessarily have that issue as much with GMK because it's supported. It supports so much more in the base layout and the base kit, unless you take out the numpad. But
yeah,
regardless, it supports a lot more from standard than SA or DSA does.
Yeah. And, one thing that a lot of people don't like, and I know this is kind of one big one for me, SA takes a long, or SA takes a very long time. You're talking a year, of waiting. Vial Bloom, I remember when it came out, was relatively close to the time. It was right when I started going, okay, I'm okay spending this much money on keyboards. About 5 or 6 months in, and then I remember seeing that. I was like, "Ooh, I kind of want it." And then I remember reading, it was like, "Yeah, it's going to be this time next year when it ships." And I was like, "I don't know if I really want to do that." So we have seen one thing Max Key has done. I forgot about this too. Is SA Leviathan. So they've done one set, really in the that they've had in the custom world. Or in the group buy world, and Max Key is cheaper because SP is in America, so Max Key is going to be a little bit cheaper, but you're getting these keycaps a year after you buy them. You don't even know, things change over a year. I've waiting for a board that I kind of don't even want anymore because it's been over a year since I ordered it, so things change. So that's one thing that does stink. But I'll say this about SA, because there are two different types of SA really. There's SA sculpted, and then row 3, which are all uniform row 3. So they're basically, it's flat. It's all going to be the exact same, which is great for
fat
people who
DSA.
Are like, fat and tall DSA. So very, it's great for people who like ortholinear. It's great for different layouts if you want to get a little crazy, do something different. But in DSA, same thing. DSA kind of,
it's fallen off.
It's with the newer profiles. DSA, I think, is just kind of plateaued on. I don't think personally. I know there's people that like. I know like Zap, he swears by DSA. I've tried DSA, not my forte. Wasn't the biggest fan. I know you liked DSA a little bit more than I did, I think, but
I like the experimental profiles. I'm not like someone that's stuck on Cherry, and I think I kind of wish that people would be a little bit more adventurous with it. Like we talked about it when we talked about keycap design, of people being more adventurous. I think some people maybe need to be a little bit more adventurous in their in the profiles that they purchase. Try it. You might end up really liking it. I had DSA on my workboard for a long time. I have a set of DSA Pulse, and I like it. It's small. It's one of those things. If you have DSA on a like thin board, it makes a great travel board. Makes it real small,
small and slim.
But yeah, DSA is really slowed down. We've had like some other profiles that are extremely similar but not the same. Like XDA has had a couple sets this year, but DSA is,
but it's punched down even more.
Yeah. But DSA, it's not really picking up steam. One thing that's awesome about DSA though, and that a lot of people don't remember this, if the set that you have is using a stock color code from Pimp My Keyboard or Signature Plastics, if you have those color codes, you can go on their website and you can buy like blanks for that, and you can do that really at any time as long as they have it listed on the site. So you can go to Pimp My Keyboard and get, like I could go there and get the small space bars that I need to make my DSA Pulse work on an Alice or the OSA. I could make it, I could go and buy the blue 7U that I didn't get in the group buy because I didn't think I would need it. So that's one thing that's really cool about Signature Plastics and how they run some of their stuff, is that they do offer those um, keys after the fact.
Yeah. And that's not something, there are some, you've got GMK can be tough because a lot of sets don't use, and outside
Right.
of like white and, your kind of tonal colors, your gray tones and stuff like that, you're not seeing a lot of ability to go grab that. I've seen, GMK where people will run blanks group buys, but at Pin My Keyboard, I think that's awesome that you can just go get caps that you need.
Well, their base colors are significantly more in depth. Like their color chips on their website are significantly greater than what the stock GMK colors are.
Mm-hmm.
Stock GMK colors are only like, it's like 25, 30 colors, whereas, Signature Plastics has like 15 different colors of blue.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot easier to have that kind of support when you're doing that. But getting into kind of, I would say this is probably like this next one is like the hype kid right now.
New kid on the block.
It's definitely like coming in hot. And that's Cat. Cat's an interesting profile. I've only messed around with it a little bit at meetups. I've never actually had a Cat set. I would like one. I'm keeping my eyes out for the different Cat sets. I know Mentorly is running Cat Eternal soon. I think even next month. And then Rinsuya is running his Cat set soon as well. And I think he just posted an interest check for another Cat set. So there's a lot of people that are big into Cat.
Yeah. It's a very unique profile. So it's based off of SA. It started with SA, and then I don't personally know the exact person who created it, but it started as, okay, let's make SA, but let's see if we can get the people that like GMK to like this profile. So it's a little flatter than SA. There's a great picture for the Cat Alpha set compared to the SA set on the Kono store. But it's a lot flatter. It's a lot shorter. And SA kind of looks like this on your board some, except for the bottom row, where SA or Cat kind of, I don't know why I'm not doing this. That's like way easier. But SA kind of caves in and makes this kind of big round. It's a lot rounder, where this is more flat, and it's a little bit more flat across. So when you're coming from something like Cherry or even DSA or OEM, which we're not really going to talk too much about OEM, but OEM's probably what most people started. That's what a lot of like gaming keyboards use, and a lot of regular keyboards that are not like the super low profile laptop style keyboards. But they're just trying to make it easier, and a lot of people are really liking this set. And this is, I think, the first. This has the best set at the moment of kind of not take. I don't think anyone's ever going to really take down GMK, but they have the best of making the biggest splash right now, because they don't have the SP wait times at the moment. I don't actually know exactly how long it's going to take, but I know that they are not immediately saying a year. So it's I'm excited to see how these profiles this profile comes out. I think a lot more people are going to like it. Like I said, I've only typed on it at meetups and a little bit at a buddy's house, but yeah, I think it can make a big splash. I think as it should. I think the more keycaps we get and the more profiles we get, the more creative people can be, and the cooler products we can see, the cooler in-game keyboards.
Yeah, I think Cat is, to me, it's like a more sculpted GMK. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit higher. It hugs your fingers a little bit more. It's not as aggressive as SA. And I think this is the one that might relieve a little bit of stress on the people over there in Germany at GMK, because I know that they're they're feeling it. I know they're excited. I saw something where they just bought a new machine. So now they have 3 machines running everything as opposed to the 2, so they can run things a little bit quicker. But I think Cat looks really cool. You can get the larger actual alphas on Cat profile that you can't get on, or I guess you could get on GMK, but you'd have to like pay extra for the tooling. But you can get the kind of SA legends onto on Cat. So it makes it to where designers can be a little bit more creative. You can have a little bit more pop with the colors. Some people like the centered legends. I think they're pretty cool sometimes. I'm not the biggest fan of them. But I think, like you said, Cat is definitely the one that stands the most ground to gain off of GMK being not overworked, but having a heavy load right now.
I mean, it's crazy to think that recently there was not the case where it's like, okay, you get a GMK set and you know it's going to be relatively short turnaround time. Interest checks were going up and able to go into group buy in about a month, where now interest check goes up and you don't even get to go to group buy for 6 months. It's just backing up so quickly. I didn't even know the thing about GMK getting a new machine, so that's awesome. It's good to hear. So, but
Cat's also less expensive too. That's one thing. It's not as expensive. You know, we just had Cat Milkshake run as well. Totally just forgot about that. But so you still have that broken up kit style, which if you can bear that, some people do it, some people don't. Like Cat Alpha didn't really have a broken up kit style. It was still like a normal base kit. But yeah, it's pretty inexpensive. You can get everything you need and get out just at or right under sometimes what a GMK set would cost.
Yeah. So, but excited to get my hands on Cat eventually. I'm sure it'll happen. I'm personally just waiting for like a really. I wasn't the biggest fan of Milkshake personally, and Cat Eternal has. I'm not as I say this as I'm wearing a purple shirt. I'm not as crazy about purple. I like purple, but I don't, for whatever reason, on keyboards, I think purples just haven't really found the right one, I guess. But as Cat profile kind of took SA and flattened it out, this next profile and the last one we will talk about. There are plenty more Keycap profiles, but these are just the ones that make the big splashes. And this one kind of definitely came in hot and heavy recently in the last year. Going the other way, and just what I call just like extreme SA is MT3. The MT3 profiles from Mass Drop. It is the most sculpted. It is if you're someone who types on GMK and you're like meh, and then you see someone type on, and then you type on SA and you're like, that's good, I like how this hugs my fingers, but I want a tighter hug. MT3 might be just what is for you. We've seen some cool sets come out. They ran Godspeed. That was kind of a big oorah of Godspeed coming back. That's kind of a set that's one of those sets that I probably get asked this the most of any sets of newcomers is, where can I find Godspeed? That set sounds amazing. I'm like, good luck, have fun, enjoy it. So Godspeed Serica just ran recently. So I personally do not like this profile. I find myself hitting the edges of, it's like circular on top. I find myself hitting the edges and not hitting. I type weird though, so if you see me type on the typing test, you'll understand.
Yeah, MT3 is a set. It was designed by Mateo, and he kind of he didn't like sell it to Mass Drop. I don't think it was more of like a collaboration. They put in the money to get everything done so he could run it. I know one of the first set it was probably a little over a year ago now. Maybe it was early last year. The dev TTY set was
TTY, yeah.
that was the first set in MT3 that I saw. So there's actually a really cool article where you can go and you can read the entire history of MT3 on Mateo's website. I'm saying his name like that because I think that's how you say it. Matt30 Matt30. But Mateo.
Matt 30.
Matt 30.
30.
But no, it's really cool. It's PBT, so it has the same sound as like EPBT, but a little bit more hollow sounding and louder because it's a bigger set. But it really if SA is the you like it, you love or hate set, this is like the you want to marry it and spend the rest of your life with it, or it's going to hell set.
Or you want to literally melt the caps into a ball and throw it.
Yeah, so it's really cool that there are people who are doing different things with it. With sets like profiles like MT3. However, MT3 is definitely not for everyone. It looks cool. It looks really cool. The caps have a more they look very interesting, and I find it hard to see it in pictures the same way it looks in person.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. The first time I saw an MT3 set, I felt like the keys were were not very wide. Like the tops of the keys are very they're much skinnier at the top than what you would expect, even versus like an SA set. So it's a cool profile, not for us, but it's definitely cool. And then, yeah, I know we want to give a look. We can give a little shout out to the other guys, the little ones that are flashes in the pan,
which we hope to see more of. Competition breeds innovation.
Cam,
I'd love to see 9 different sets, but it's instead of 8 sets of GMK and 1 set of something else, it's 3 and 3 of different stuff. I think that's where we would be like hitting the stride of like how awesome this community can be, is when you're running all these sets. But it's going to be a while because GMK is already backlogged. So
yeah, I think there's like a standard when we start breaking the mold more so of like, yeah, I've got this. Like there was a meme that I saw on our mechanical keyboards a while ago where it was like the SpongeBob order thing, and it was it was like I've got a Fjell with Holy Pandas and a GMK keycap set.
It's like daring, aren't we?
It's like, yeah. So once we kind of get out of the mold of like everyone wants GMK, and I think people get more experimental, we'll see these other sets. And I think we're starting to see that a little bit, especially with Cat, because Cat's really picking up steam. I know Cam is a small one we didn't really go in depth on. They just ran Cam Starry Nights not too long ago. And that set was super inexpensive. And that's the other piece. Some of these are really inexpensive. And if you have the opportunity, get in on them, because you can get some pretty awesome looking sets for pretty cheap.
Yeah. There's the OSA profile. This is crazy. I'm looking at the website right now. The OSA profile, this is from KBD fans. Looks like a flatter SA, but still closer to SA than maybe like, it looks like it's probably in between Cat and SA. $75, and that gets you most compatibility outside of 40s and stuff like that. It's even got a couple split space bars. It's only in 2 colorways. One's sold out, but if you like red, gray and red and white, like another great profiles that I haven't seen a whole lot on them. PBT again, so you can have that darker color, but another great, we want to see these are keycaps that we want to see more and more of, because the more options we get, the more creative we can be. And then you're not buying, if you're someone who's like, I don't understand why I would buy 4 60% boards. It's like, okay, well, you can have Cherry and Cam and SA and OSA or CAT or whatever. You can have all these different keycaps, and then you can explain to your wife why you have 4 different boards. Or your husband, whoever is questioning your keyboard purchases.
Yeah, I think like I said, it's really cool to see these other profiles. Take a look at them. I feel like a lot of people just don't even give them the light of day. We're stuck in our ways. Get out of it a little bit. I don't think. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Obviously, we both love GMK. We both love Cherry Profile. But it's more of like, let's shed some light on the other ones, because there's people that spend a lot of time making these sets. And I feel like sometimes they don't get as much credit as they deserve.
Yeah. So, and try them at meetups. The best thing you can do is go to a meetup.
You don't know.
Go to a meetup. Test a couple. Cyrus and I almost bought MT3 Godspeed for the colorway, and he was out of town for the last Dallas meetup, and I went and I typed on MT3, and I was like, I am so glad I did not get this, because I do not like this. And people who like it, absolutely, more power to you. I'm glad you found something you liked. Not for me, personally. Yeah. But speaking of meetups,
we will
like that segue.
Yeah, that was almost Linus level into the sponsor. We will be at the Dallas meetup this Saturday out in Richardson, I believe.
Yes.
Cool. All right. I was right. We'll be out there Saturday. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to have some boards, having a good time. Chewy's going to have his OSA that he built this past weekend.
It's like 7 pounds.
I know he's stoked about it. I know he loves it.
This has been a fun, unique, and different typing experience. And I'm not too slow on it anymore. I've gotten used to it pretty quick.
It's going to be like a shock to your system every time you like if you get really used to it and then switch. That'd be
I guess it'll be nice that I don't have like 2, because I'll go to work and I'll type on something more normal, or I'll type on the OSA at work and then I'll come home and type on it. But yeah, the first few seconds, like, wait, tighten the hands back up.
That's like every morning when I get to work and I type on my my Xylence. I'm like, it's just like, wait, what?
Wait, sounds, where'd they go?
Where's the sound? But no, we will be at the meetup. Come hang out. It's gonna be a good time. Say hi.
Say hello. Yeah.
You can introduce yourself. You don't have to. You can just say hi. But we'd love to hang out with you.
High fives are appreciated.
So yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Come hang out with us.
Yeah. Quick shout sponsors. I'll just run through them real quick. Switchmod.net/Mechs on Deck, 4% off. You order, he's got lube and springs and other great stuff. Be sure to check that out. mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. Let's go to Dixie Mech, pick up GMK Dracula. Awesome set for Spooktober. And last but not least, Zap cables. You can go get some awesome cables at zapcables.com. And if you want to pick up a DIY kit and you don't know how to make a cable, watch our video. So tomorrow we've got Yang Lad. I think that's how I asked him and he said it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go with Yang Lad. But GMK Modern Dolch Light just was announced, the interest check. I say interest check, people, it's going to go to group buy and it's going to sell hundreds of kits. So yeah, it's going to be all right. It's more of a look what's coming, not really an interest check.
We're past. I was talking to someone about it. We're past interest check level. Now it's just hype check.
Yep.
It's like how hype is this set?
It's like I would say this was like 50% our interest check, and if it's done by someone who's already ran a set, at that point it's hype check. interest check if it's done. If it's a little more like out there, like GMK Hero is something that's a little out there.
Yeah.
But I think that will do fine whenever it runs. So, but yeah. Thank you guys as always. Like, subscribe, share, talk to us on our Discord, all the things.
Do it all. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Buy a Switch tester.